Yeah, absolutely. So, starting out with my podcast, one, I jumped into it mainly because I was told, hey, if you want to get in this business and raise capital for real estate deals and build a brand, you need to have a podcast or a thought leadership platform more broadly. And a
Was it
podcast
a
is
mentor or something that told you that? Or?
mentor, but just not just the mentor, other folks in the space.
Okay.
They kind of gave me that feedback. And I come from marketing and advertising, so I got it, right? You need some mechanism where people can get to know you, learn about what you do, and figure out whether or not they want to work with you. Where if I could go back, where I think I missed an opportunity was not being clear on what my podcast was about, more specifically, who was meant to help, how I was going to help them, and ultimately how I was going to benefit from it. So when I initially launched my podcast, it was called Target Market Insights. We have since rebranded to be called Multifamily Insights, so it's more encompassing. But I launched really focusing on myself. I had started that show trying to figure out how to find the best places to invest. And I certainly thought other people would benefit from that topic, which is really important. And I couldn't find any other podcasts that were talking about that. But once I kind of got further into the show and had more episodes under my belt, I realized that I had kind of answered my own personal question of how to find the best places to invest. And I didn't know where to take the show from there. And at that moment, I was faced with this, fork in the road where I could either say, all right, hey, got my answer to the question. Let's go ahead and wrap this thing up and end the show. Or we need to make a pivot so it stays interesting, not just for me, but for our audience and gives us something where we can build and help other people along that journey.
When did you start it? I feel like it's been 6 years or so.
Yeah, it's been at least 7 years. So I want to say like maybe 2017 or something like that.
Okay. So that's pretty cool. And I want to make sure that I got this right. You said you weren't originally clear on your why. You didn't really know what your podcast was all about. And the three things that kind of helped you to get to the place where you can hone that in. I think you said, I had to identify who my show is for. I had to identify like what I want that person to get out of listening to my show. And third, I needed to figure out how could that benefit me. So who is it for? How does it benefit them? And how does it benefit my business? Is that right?
That's right. And if I were going back, I would certainly make sure you understand who is the show for, how do they benefit, or what's the promise to them when they listen to your show, and then how does it benefit your business. Where I kind of made a slight error is I built a show that was for people learning how to find the best places to invest. I made a show where we talked to those guests and we asked them questions directly on, hey, what metrics are you looking for? And what do you pay attention to? And, how are you making these decisions, even at the micro level? So we could pick a macro market like Dallas, Texas. But how do you know which part of Dallas, Texas, right? If I'm not from Dallas, how do I look at this data and figure out I want to be in this area versus that area? Where I missed an opportunity was I didn't think through how it really benefited my business. At that time, I didn't have a coaching program, and I was really looking to connect with other investors, really passive investors who are looking to invest alongside me in my deals. What I didn't really process was those individuals are less concerned with that. They really want you to do all that work and figure out where to invest. They're concerned with their money, how to identify a good deal to invest in, what should passive investors know about investing, what kind of returns should they expect. They wanted to learn more about the actual investing side for them and what the benefits were to them. And my show was really geared more towards that active investor who was looking to find the best places to invest so that they could find these deals. So there's a little bit of a disconnect, and it took me a minute to figure that out, to recognize that, wow, we're not really growing as much as I could because we're not giving the answers or the value to the people we were initially looking to help. And part of that was because, again, I initially launched that show for my own personal needs to help me figure out the best places to invest and how to find those areas so I could be a better operator and a better investor. So there was a slight disconnect between what I originally wanted to get out of the show and the audience that I was hoping to serve through that podcast.
So I love that. Okay, what you wanted to get out of the show was at the time a little bit more important. And it, in a way, it served its purpose because it allowed you to really dial in on the best metrics, seeing how everybody thinks through it, and allowing you to be one of the best at finding really good markets that have a tailwind instead of a headwind. And by this, for the listener, John syndicates apartment communities. And John, you can share what that means real quick, like give us an overview of what that business model is, since a lot of our listeners, they have different types of coaching programs. Why don't you share what is that business model, and then we'll go into some more questions.
In short, I just help people invest in apartments, right? So there's two ways we do it. One, people can invest alongside us in our deals. So if you think about it, most people may want to invest in real estate. They take the money they have saved up. They may go out and buy a house or a duplex or a small rental. Well, instead of everyone going out and doing that by themselves, we'll pull all the money together. And now instead of, having $100,000 to make an investment, we might take $2 or $3 million to go out and buy a larger property, hire third-party management, and run it more professionally. So that's called apartment syndication. That's kind of the backbone of what we do. We also coach and help other people learn how to raise capital for the deals that they want to take on.